Scripture today comes from the book of Exodus, verses 8 to 11. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord our God. You shall not do any work, you, your son, your daughter, your male or female slave, your livestock, or the alien resident in your towns. For 6 days the Lord made the heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them. But he rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and consecrated it.
So, when I was a teenager, I struggled a lot with anxiety. I actually was diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder, so you get your mind sort of spinning all the time. And so I learned this neat trick where I wasn't so obsessed with my own thoughts if I stayed really busy. So I did all of the things. I was one of those high schoolers who was doing Running Start, and I was doing theater, and then I went to college and I kept doing theater, and I just packed every single moment of my life in. And it's great because the world really rewards that kind of behavior. We are a super grindy culture, right? So we are celebrated if you are just wearing yourself to the bone. My parents always joke I have all these pictures of me in high school, and in every single one I look terrible because the only time they could get pictures of me in high school was when I was sick. I had worked myself to complete death, and was finally my body gave out and said, "You're resting. I'm going to make you rest." So it took a long time as an adult to understand the value of rest. And in particular, the idea that you are still valuable even at rest. Again, our culture tells us over and over again that we're only as good as our last accomplishment, as our last promotion at work. How many hours did you do? Did you work out every day? Did you leave every last drop of sweat on the ground? And this is one of those moments where the scripture and God flips the script and says, you should rest. You have done enough. You are ultimately enough. And that your rest is also sacred. And that you have meaning and value even when you are doing absolutely nothing. And I don't know about you, but I know for me, that's a really hard message. So this last week I was sick. I'm better now, thank you, and still wearing my mask. But I was laid out for a good couple of days and did nothing but lay in my bed and watch Law & Order. That's what I do when I'm sick. It's Law & Order, personal marathon. Thank God for streaming. And it was really, really hard for me to not feel less than, to not feel like I had like a moral failing. I think this is the 10th cold I've had this year. For those of us as parents who have kids in school, I think we're getting every single cold we missed for 2 years. And I actually started to think something might be wrong with me, like not physically wrong with me, something is like morally wrong with me because I keep getting sick, and it means that I'm a bad employee, and it means I'm a bad mom, and I'm a bad partner, and I'm a bad housekeeper. And of course, as usual, this scripture and this opportunity comes along at the perfect time to remind me that there's nothing wrong, that I simply need rest, and that rest is okay, and it is beautiful, and it is sacred, just as work is. So I invite you this week to ponder on some questions that I love. There's an artist, I think she's pronounced Brigida, and she does beautiful art asking really amazing questions. And she has one about when your body needs rest, you should ask yourself, not, can I make this as short as possible? Can I get through this so I can get to my next task? You should instead ask yourself, how quiet, how long, and how soft can I let myself be at rest? So I invite you this week to ask yourself those same questions. How quiet, how long, how soft, and how sacred can I make my rest this week? Amen.